Holy City Center Radio, it is episode 299, and I am your host, Christian Sanger. Today is Friday, October 4th, 2024. Hello, everyone. Happy to be back with you on Holy City Center Radio. It's the Friday edition. Yes, one episode shy of the big 300. Can't believe I have done that many episodes. Anybody who has listened to any chunk of those, I greatly appreciate it. I hope it hasn't been too terrible. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you had a great week and hope you have an amazing weekend ahead. If you need any plans, go to holycitycenter.com/calendar and you'll be able to see what is coming up, not just this weekend, but in the days, weeks, and months ahead. If I do say so myself, and I do, it is the best events calendar in Charleston. So if you're looking for something to do, chances are you're going to find it there. But regardless, if you decide to just lay low all weekend or find some of those plans, I hope you have an amazing weekend. Today's show is a nice, easygoing one. No, sad or ridiculous news stories. We just got a fun interview for you. We're going to talk about AI, which is, of course, something that is on the tip of everyone's tongue, it seems. There's always some new products coming out or discussions about where AI could be going and, other conversations about easing people's fears about where it is not going. And I'm sure you've heard all about that, but have you heard from someone who works with a company that has AI being a big part of what they offer and what they do, especially one here in the Charleston area? Well, today is that day. My guest is Mike Mullen. He is the COO of Cognition, which is a performance analytics company for mission-critical organizations that want to use the power of data to gain an unfair advantage. That is how the company describes themselves. We'll get into it here in just a moment so you can learn more about it. And so, yes, as usual with an interview show, we won't be discussing any of the latest news stories, but rest assured, I've got plenty to talk about on that next episode where it is not an interview. You're not missing out on anything. I'll be sure to cover all those things, and the next episode. I don't think I have another interview scheduled for a while. So next week, we'll get back into it. So without any further delay, sit back and enjoy the interview. And joining me now is Mike Mullen. As promised, he is the COO of Cognition. We're going to learn all about that company. Mike, thank you so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate it.
Great. Awesome to be here, Christian. Much appreciated for having us on.
Of course. Yeah, I'm really excited to learn more about this company. And it's a topic that you see covered in everywhere, every news outlet talking about AI, and we're going to talk about specifically how your business uses that and implements it. But before we get into that, I always like our listeners to learn a little bit about the person who's speaking outside of just their title. So if you could, just feel free to tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, if you've lived here, if you moved here, just anything you think will help people just know who you are a little better.
Sure. So I came to Charleston back in 1998, came here to go to College of Charleston, ended up getting a business degree from CFC. At the time in high school, wasn't really quite sure where I wanted to go. I grew up surfing down in Florida, and I asked my college advisor where somewhere was that I could get into school that was still close to the ocean, and he suggested College of Charleston. Didn't even come and visit it, and ended up coming here, loving it, and have been here ever since. So, it's a great city. When I graduated college, I ended up moving up to your neck of the woods and moved to New York. I actually followed my now wife up there, and ended up living up there for about a year. Started working for a third-party logistics company up there called Worldwide Express. And that's really where even the Cognition journey started, was during that time, really. So worked with Worldwide Express for the year when I was up there, ended up getting an opportunity to open an office down in Charleston, and then moved to Charleston, and it's kind of been history ever since. So that's the background.
Very nice.
What's gotten me.
It's great that you got to come back here to Charleston, obviously a place you like, and that's really great that you had the opportunity to come on back. And you mentioned Bear Cognition, obviously. That's what I have said at the top as well. So tell us a little bit about this company. What is it? How did it come to be? And what in the grand scheme of things, what does the company do?
Sure. So I mentioned that had worked with or worked for a third-party logistics company, and that was a long time ago, right? I mean, it started with the organization about 20 years ago, and w- during that time, there weren't. I mean, there were third-party logistics companies out there, but there weren't a ton of them, at least not like there are today. And we had a great business model, right? We could walk into any business that was really shipping and be able to consolidate all of their different carriers into one invoice, and generally be able to save them some money, right? So these companies would usually be dealing with 4 or 5 different vendors at a time. We could really make their lives a lot easier by bringing that all into one place, putting it on one invoice, and then, like I said, saving them a couple bucks. And it was great. It was real easy for us to bring on business. But as that continued on, a lot more competition came into the marketplace, and it really turned less so of a service-oriented business and then more into a commodity-driven business where it was just all about just saving money, and that was it. So about 5 years ago, I guess 6 years ago now, we were looking for different ways to differentiate ourselves from the competition. And we looked at, one thing that our customers were really looking for was better data visualizations on their reports, so better reporting that that we were providing. And Worldwide Express was actually a franchise-based business model. So we went back to our franchisor, asked them for this, and they said that there's no way that they could provide it, but they would give us access to the data. And at the time, we really didn't know what that meant. We knew that, okay, this is great. We've got this data. What do we do with it? So we went and talked to a couple different data analytics firms and consultants that then helped us put together a base level set of visualizations that we then turned around and provided to our better customers, and found that it worked out tremendously. We were finding not only better retention with these customers, but they were ultimately wanting to spend more with us to bring all of this data into one spot and see these visualizations and be able to have better reporting on all of their transportation spend and all that. So that was great, and that went on for a little while. We gave it to all of our key accounts and to these most of our larger customers and all that good stuff, and they started asking for additional analytics, and that's when we were like, hey, this could probably be its own business, and started really investing in the analytics side of things. So we exited the 3PL and the third-party logistics company, and then started up Bear Cognition to strictly just focus on analytics and data science for companies.
And now that it's shifted to that, obviously it's been a while, but artificial intelligence is a big part of that, and some of the services you offer. But not just that, but what sort of products and services do you offer to businesses right now? Like, what sort of, if I'm coming in, I own a company, I'm needing some help. What sort of things would you let them know about what you have?
At the end of the day, we're a high-touch data solutions company that offers data and systems integration, software development, and customized optimization tools. And we house all of those in our intelligent supply chain platform. We have a bunch of capabilities internally, and we approach this from a few different ways. One way that we go about this is, we try to eliminate that no joy work through automation and process optimization inside these organizations. So when you think about it, every company has no joy work inside of it, right? You've got, whether it's a secretary that's doing a ton of data entry, or you just have employees that are sitting there taking emails in, looking at PDFs, and then throwing those into Excel spreadsheets would be an example of that, right? We have customers that we're call it 5 or 6 employees, all that they were doing every day was sitting there looking at their email and then plugging information into an Excel sheet. So we come in and we can essentially just automate a ton of that stuff. And we utilize AI, ML, a ton of different tools to do that, and have, again, a lot of different capabilities inside the organization that can utilize that. So I think that's one big way that we can use AI and ML to help these organizations. Another way that we do it is through gap applications. So every company's got a tech stack, right? They have different softwares that they're using to help run their business. For the most part, those softwares are doing a good job for them. But when they find something that software can't do, from a reporting side or from a prediction or forecasting side, that's where we can come in and help, build a tool outside of that product to then assist and be able to, kind of fill the gap that maybe that SaaS solution is not currently doing for them. So those are two, primary examples is how we go to market and what we do for those customers.
Very cool. So obviously this is something that can help businesses everywhere, and I'm sure you have clients, across the nation, if not beyond. But you are here. You're based in the Charleston area, so obviously I'm sure there's some Charleston businesses that you all work with. How have they, when it comes to some of these like newer technologies, especially, how is the, whatever customers you're working with, or maybe people that you've spoken to but didn't ultimately decide to use any of your services, what's the feedback or what's the experience been? Is Charleston accepting and evolving with this technology, or are they kind of resistant, the people that you talk to?
No, I think Charleston's a great place to have a tech company personally. We have a lot of support here as well. Charleston Digital Corridor, I think, does a fantastic job
Mm-hmm.
with putting on events and helping with different learning activities that are out there. There's data science meetups that are out there. There's different BI tool meetups that are out there. The community is way more techy than one might think. I think that the port, Boeing, these large companies get, a lot of credit, I think, for running that economy. But I do think that tech is really stepping up and has a foothold here in the Charleston community. And there's a ton of great people that are in it too. So couldn't be happier for being in Charleston with that.
And kind of circling back, you had mentioned before we were giving examples of, what people may be doing within their specific roles and how you can help, eliminate, that kind of more boring work or whatever you want to call it. And I think it was important that you were saying, well, that you were doing that to help free up those employees to do other things, not what I think a lot of people always get scared about with any technology, not just AI, but, oh, this is just going to replace people. But
Yep.
it sounds like more so the goal is, no, let's free up people who have a role. Let's free up some of those more menial tasks, things that, they don't need to be focusing on, and they can go do something else. So they're still very much employed, but they're just doing, different work, not having to be tied down with some of the more mundane things.
It's 100% right. I mean, these giving them opportunities to do things that they were either hired to do or that they want to do, you're going to get such better work out of that employee in the long run. There'll be better ideation, better at actually wanting to be there and not just, slogging away at data entry or, what we were calling that no joy work
Right.
day after day.
And so, having been in this field for a while and seeing how it's evolved, obviously you don't have a crystal ball, but what do you think the future holds for the type of work that you all do? AI, and just like any other technology, it can constantly evolves and grows. Are you seeing any next big thing on the horizon, or is it more of you just think more and more people are going to embrace this technology, or is both? What do you see in this industry, in the future?
I think from the AI side of things, it's not enough on its own. I mean, the products that are out there, like the Chat GPTs of the world, I mean, they're amazing, right? I mean, you can go there, ask it pretty much anything, and get a kick out of a solution that will at least get you started on something. But I think that the challenge that exists there is how do you actually put that into a workflow of a business? How do you get it incorporated into your processes in a way that makes it seamless? And there are APIs and different ways that we actually can come in and do that for organizations to make it an easier process for them. So I think that's really what we're going to see. I think it's Microsoft that just came out in the past couple of days where they're saying that they want you to start talking to your computer, right? And that's AI that's doing that. So how are they and how are we incorporating AI into people's lives outside of just going to a site and asking a question? It's going to be more ingrained in things than maybe people know. And I think that's only going to make us, stronger overall as a company and as an organization.
With everything we've talked about, I know that this industry can be confusing to some folks. I think you've done a good job of kind of explaining, what's out there and, what sort of work you all do. Is there anything I haven't asked that you think is important about this work or this industry, whether it's things that are being offered now or again looking to the future, just anything you think people need to know that I haven't asked about or we haven't really discussed?
I think that AI, it can come across as it being like very complex if you don't really know what you're looking at. And it's not a solution that's going to work for everything. It's not going to create solutions for all of our problems, right? When thinking about it, I think there's five different ways that we actually approach it, and we'll consider using AI or ML. And that's with either automation, right? So the data entry and document processing stuff that I've already talked about. Prediction, where maybe you've got a sales team and you want to get an idea of what next quarter is going to look like using previous information that's out there, previous outcomes. Classification, so just categorizing data into predefined groups. That's something that we see inside the transportation industry a ton. Optimization, so route optimization, pricing optimization, ways that you're streamlining processes that are out there. And then the last thing is like pattern recognition. So identifying patterns that humans can't really identify on their own. And I think a great example of this is Spotify, right? Like, how does it, I listen to Led Zeppelin. How does it know that I'm going to like Red Hot Chili Peppers? I think it's a good example. So, using those is how we like to approach all of the AI problems that are out there, and try to simplify those for people that are doing business with us.
And for anybody who's interested in learning more about your company, where can they find more information?
You can go to bearcognition.com. Again, as everyone knows, we are local here to Charleston. We do like to have face-to-face meetings. So, would love to set up a time to come and chat.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Mike. I really appreciate it. Got to learn more about the company that I knew basically nothing about. So I really appreciate that. And hopefully more people will now know what's out there and what's available and, what things are coming down as far as technology and what the future holds. I really appreciate it.
All right, great. Thanks, Christian. Appreciate the time.
And that'll do it for this edition of Holy City Center Radio. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks to Mike Mullen for coming on today and having that discussion. Again, if you need plans, holycitycenter.com/calendar is the place to go. Also, if you have a moment, please rate and review this podcast, like, subscribe, whatever you can do on the platform you're listening on, please do so. It helps expand the podcast so other people can hear it. If you want to go that extra step, you can go to patreon.com/holycitycenter and sign up for one of those support tiers. Thank you to Lindsay Marie Collins with LMC Soundsystem for producing this and every episode of Holy City Center Radio. And a big thank you to Tyler Boone, whose music you hear in each and every show. And last but certainly not least, a big thank you to all of you for listening. I greatly appreciate it. Have an amazing weekend. I'll talk to you soon. Until then, good night and good luck.